Welcome to the Coached Success Podcast. This podcast is aimed at connecting you with the ways top performers think about challenges so that you can adapt your thinking accordingly and live your version of ultra extraordinary. So today we have Jarryd Smith from Cape Town on the podcast. Jarryd is from Second Chance. Jarryd, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
How's it? Thanks for having me on your show. Looking forward to chatting and to see what comes out of it.
Okay, thank you. So Jarryd, tell us, who is Jarryd Smith?
Well, Jarryd Smith's a few things: a father, a
Okay.
husband, motivational speaker, a life coach, a sports lover, and recently a book lover, which growing up I wasn't fond of reading. But as you realize that reading helps you develop your mind, your heart, your soul, you become addicted to reading because you want to grow.
I
I'm a
completely
book
agree
lover
with you.
too
I completely agree with you. Yeah, books has changed my life as well. It's really
now.
powerful. You say that you're a motivational speaker. So tell me a bit
Yeah.
about the motivational speaking that you do.
So basically, we go to schools around South Africa and recently Australia. And this year, we're going to America and possibly Hawaii to do motivational talks. And our whole aim and goal through our talks is to help people realize that they have the power to step out of their dysfunction and their booth of limitation, because a lot of people feel helpless. So we try and change their mindset and their perception to see their situation in a different view. Because if you can see it differently, then you can step out of it and you can actually grow from the very thing that's holding you back. It's equipping them with skills so that they can become the greatest version of themselves, because the real you is the greatest you.
I completely agree with that. And that's a really awesome mission that you have there. Something similar
Yeah.
to what I do. I feel very passionate about that as well, about raising people's standards, raising people's awareness and
Yeah.
helping them change the quality of their life through equipping them with tools.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
think that we haven't really been taught these things growing up. And now
Yeah.
that we've taught it through our own struggles, we need to share it with people who don't have the resources to basically get the knowledge that we have. Jarryd, tell me, what does success mean to you?
I think firstly, in the second book that I wrote, 2 billion seconds, I actually broke this down because for a long time I thought success was a bank balance. And what I came to realize recently over the last 2 years is success is me becoming the greatest version of myself and me developing my mindset, my resilience. And success is the way that I treat my wife and my child. Success is how I am in the community and in society. Success is many different things. And I feel like success is also dealing with your opportunities to the best of your ability, because for me, it's never about the money. If
Okay.
you do the opportunities in front of you to the best of your ability, those opportunities create opportunities, create opportunities. The money will follow the opportunities.
That's an awesome definition of success, and I completely agree with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be about money. And I think that success starts with you, obviously, personally, like you say.
Yeah, 100%.
You're currently a motivational speaker, and you obviously go around to schools, educating them about life skills and how they can become the best versions of themselves. Tell me, what did you want to become growing up, or did you always want to become a motivational speaker?
So for me, growing up, I wanted to become a professional rugby player. I loved sport. That was my
Wow.
purpose. I wasn't very good at school, so I had to find something. So sport was my purpose. But obviously, growing up, I made a lot of silly decisions that cost me a lot of things in my life. For me, at the end of the day, I didn't know what I wanted to become or what I wanted
Hmm.
to do until the age of 23. So
Okay.
growing up was a sportsman. That was my dream.
So you say that it was your dream initially, but and at around by the age of 23, you discovered your passion. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I knew from the age of 20 that I wanted to help people,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how that vision looked. I didn't have clarity. And as I got closer to the age of 23, 24, the clarity of my vision sort of came together. And that's where I realized there's certain things I need to change and do
Mm-hmm.
differently in order for me to fulfill that vision.
Okay. And tell me, how did you get this clarity? How did you gain this clarity? Did you have a role model or mentor?
So for me, it was a few different things. I think for me, it was also my faith, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I became a Christian. That helped me. I had the right people around me, because you must understand that the people you choose to be in your circle will either infect you or inspire you. And those
Yep.
people that you choose to be around you will create an atmosphere, an environment of winning, of success, or
Yes.
failure. I had to surround myself around people that created the right atmosphere for me to win. And that changed a lot for me.
Tell me about your upbringing firstly, and how did you start to find these type of people?
I grew up in a good home, but a lot of things happened. I was sexually abused when I was 6 and 12. And I
Okay.
was under a lot of pressure to perform because my parents were high achievers. I wasn't very good at schoolwork, so I overcompensated with the sport. It always felt like there was something missing inside of me. And that's why I got involved in risky behavior and made
Yep.
bad decisions so I could fit in. But I think coming towards the end, where I started getting clarity on my vision, was that I knew that I wanted to change the world. I knew that I wanted to make an impact. I knew that I wanted to use my time wisely. And I started looking at people that were more successful than me, but had the same values, but they thought differently. Now, I know that's sort of out the box because a lot of people say hang around with like-minded people. That's not the
Yes.
truth. You hang around with people that have the same values, but think differently because they will stretch your thinking. Because
Yeah.
if it's all the same thinking, then you don't grow.
Exactly. About the age of 20 to 24, you discovered that you wanted to help people. But how did your challenges frame, or how did it give you the platform to actually step forth and get the confidence and develop the skill to actually step forth and shift your perspective in order to actually
Yeah.
do what you're doing? How did you manage to do
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think I'm grateful for my pain and my trauma and my rock
Mm-hmm.
bottom that gave me the revelation. I think sometimes pain helps us to look at our priorities in a different view. So I looked at
Mm-hmm.
my life. I mean, I was homeless, living on 3 crates in a cardboard box, injecting
Wow.
took into my arms, washing myself out of a basin once every 3 days. And I realized I don't want to die at the age of 23. And I've been to rehab 8 times, been arrested 7 times. So, there was no hope for my life. People told me I was going to die young. But something shifted for me. And again, part of that story was my faith. But my eyes just opened, almost like someone had switched the light on in a dark room. And I
Okay.
realized that I wanted something more from life. So my pain became the fuel to my purpose, if that makes sense. It was like a fire that was started because I'd seen the dark side. I'd been on death's
Mm-hmm.
door. I know what that looks like. And I didn't want to go any further. I ran, bro. I ran towards it and I was hungry and I'm still hungry. I'm getting
I love
hungry
that.
every day.
I love that. So basically, that obviously just shows that, you had the mindset shift instead of being a victim to your past and the challenges you faced,
Yeah,
which you previously were, obviously,
100%.
when you were in the situation that you said, not having a place to live. And then you shifted to a more empowering state and saying, listen, I'm here to help people. I want to create a better me so that I can actually help people. That's beautiful. I applaud you for that. So, Jarryd, there's a common misconception that after you decide you're going to go after your dreams, everything will just go your way. You won't be failing. Tell me about any challenges that you faced or any failures that you faced and how you managed to think about them and overcome them.
I think I faced many failures. I mean, I started my own organization in 2010. And,
Okay.
when you start something, there's always lessons.
Yes.
And again, I always say the labels you use will determine the language you live. So
Exactly.
however you label your situation, if it's something that's going to help you grow and you call it an opportunity, you label it that, then
Mm-hmm.
every time you see an opportunity, you want to grow. If you label it as a problem, then you're going to be like, oh man, depressed. So I always labeled my things in a way that helped me grow and kept me motivated. But yeah, I failed a lot. I learned hard lessons. But I always say that it's important to have a winning mindset. You're either winning or you're learning because you're never losing when you're learning. So keep
Mm-hmm.
learning, then you always win. So it's like I always looked at my situations and asked myself, what could I extract from this to make me a better person and make my organization better? And because I kept doing that, we kept growing and developing. And that's the only reason why we are where we are today. You choose the wrong people. You choose people based on ability and not character. And then you learn
Yes.
hard lessons there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get fixated on the money when it starts growing and you lose sight of what's important and you've got to be brought back to earth. And there's those moments where sort of get drift off. I lost sight 2 or 3 times. We got sponsored by clothing people and a lot of money started coming in and then you sort of get fixated on that. But again,
Okay.
all lessons.
Once again, the way you
Yeah.
framed it, that's important.
Yeah.
And because you were homeless, you reach a rock bottom. So any
Yeah.
failure was never going to be as tough as that. Is that also a
No.
way that you framed it that helped you keep going?
I think unconsciously, whenever I face something from that point, somehow my body probably measures it from that. Like when I face things in my life, I don't find many things bother me too much. I
Okay.
don't stress a lot. I don't worry. I don't create that sort of culture in my heart or my mind because, we get conditioned by what we allow into our lives. We
Mm-hmm.
normalize things that are actually abnormal. But yeah, man, I think you're right. I think anything I face these days is no comparison to where I've been. So I'm grateful for my past.
And that's powerful because once again, you're using that as a frame to actually help you propel you towards your
Yeah,
dreams.
100%.
And that's beautiful. So tell me, what advice do you have for anybody who's currently feeling stuck at this point, who's currently stuck in a victim's mentality?
I think it's important to surround yourself with people that you know are going to be honest with you from a place that they want you to grow. I think a lot of time we are stuck because we have blind spots. We can't see some of the invisible behavior, the invisible thoughts. I think sometimes so often we get so used to something that eventually it becomes part of us and we can't see it anymore. So firstly, you need to surround yourself with people that are going to give you honest feedback. They're going to help you see what you need to see
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to change that very thing. And I think what's important is it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how many times you've messed up, failed, or what your situation is. You may be feeling guilty or regretful right now, but you got to transition that regret into the lesson so you can start feeling better about your situation. And I think it's all about quality decisions. What can you do differently right now? What one step can you take out of that mess that's going to move your life into a new direction? It's about being practical, man. If you can't be
Yes.
practical, you're never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So don't lose hope. No matter how dark your life is right now, you can change that around. It's all about the quality decisions that you are willing to make. Willingness wins the war, bro.
If you are enjoying this episode and would like some practical tips that you can use daily to thrive, then head over to coachedsuccess.com/thrive and download our 5 daily tips to thrive. That is coachedsuccess.com/thrive. Now let's get back to the episode. When you decided to go on this path, there were certain sacrifices you had to make. What are the top sacrifices you had to make in your career or in your life?
I think you have to give up something to gain something.
Yes.
So you got to give up sort of moments of pleasure to gain momentum and purpose. So I found this journey that I've been on, I had to give up certain things that I would normally do. Go out with friends all the time, socialize all the time, spend late nights watching Netflix, doing all those things that people enjoy. You got to spend your time differently. The thing is this, you can't buy time, yet we're spending it like we can. We each have a certain amount of time every day, but you have to use those wisely if you want to see something in your life. So I had to sacrifice, I would say, moments of pleasure, moments of good times, moments of fun. You have to give that up in order to gain momentum in your life and fill your life with things that are going to shift and change things within you so that your life can be different.
Tell me, Jarryd, has there ever been a point in your career where you actually felt like an imposter, where you felt like these people are listening to me, but I don't even feel like I'm that particular person who they're supposed to be listening to or look up?
Yeah, I think we all go on that journey. I think it's happened a few times where you might be in a space where you're fighting your own demon, but yet you're still teaching people and you almost feel fake. But at the end of the day, we have to still teach because we can't deprive people of a life lesson just because we're struggling. That's sort of the truth that I spoke into my lives, into my mind, because self-talk's so important. So like I would say to myself, even though I'm struggling, even though I feel like an imposter, these people still need truth for their own lives. So let me still give it to them. And that helped me feel better. So it's not a nice feeling though. You feel down, you feel anxious, you feel depressed, but it's a season, bro.
Yeah, and many people do experience that. Even most successful people, they experience moments of feeling like an imposter. Like, are they really truly
100%.
worthy of what they're doing?
Yeah, 100%. Good question.
So tell me, Jarryd, what is your vision going forward with your mission?
I think it's the same as when I first started, man. It's a broad thing. I want to change the world. I don't know how that looks. So for me, when opportunities come for me to speak, I go and speak and I give it all. And that's it, man. My vision is just to change people's lives. So if that's going from place to place, like we've been doing, keep doing that. If it's one person that needs something, some good word of encouragement, be sensitive to what they need. So it's helping, bro, and inspiring.
Looking back, do you have any regrets? Would you change anything about your past looking back now?
I think I get this question a lot, especially at the schools. And obviously for me and you, we know the answer is no. I wouldn't change anything. But when you say that to people at schools, they're like, oh, what do you mean you wouldn't change it? Because everything I've been through made me who I am right now.
Exactly.
So there's no regret because I transition the regret into a lesson and it just helps me to grow, man. It's motivational.
And tell me about speaking engagements. Did you have any struggles in terms of your confidence, getting on the stage and actually speaking in front of a group of people?
To be honest with you, I didn't really struggle with that much. I did drama at school, so that helped a little bit. I was being prepared before I even knew it. But anyway, we all have fear. We all have this voice in our minds. Are we going to meet the standard that people are looking for? Are we going to perform well? Are we going to preach well? Is it going to be good enough? I think those are the sort of questions that play in your mind and heart. And I think in the beginning, man, like when I first started this, it was more about me sharing my story and I was comfortable with that. But 9 years later, I share like 5% of my story and I just work off that and I teach people. So I've grown a lot in my sort of speaking ability, if I might say it like that. But we have our moments where we go through seasons where we feel anxious. Is what we're saying, is it actually changing people's lives? Or people just sitting there like nodding their head? So we go through those, bro, but it's part of our development.
And also, like you said previously about the fact that when people ask you, will you change anything in the past? It's very difficult to say. But most people I know won't change, who has a growth mindset. They won't change the past because it's made them who they are today. And then, Jarryd, you mentioned earlier that you love reading and that readings provide you with so much insight and knowledge. Do you want to share your top 3 books?
I think for me, there's Battlefield of the Mind. It's
Mm-hmm.
written by a lady by the name of Joyce Meyer. It's quite a big book, but it's all about retraining the way you think. And there's a book by John Gray. It's called Winning Within.
Okay.
And there's one about healthy boundaries. Henry Cloud. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you might have heard of him. You must check him out.
I'll
But
definitely check
all
him
about
out.
healthy boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and mindsets. And he almost says, like, if you don't deal with your past, you're going to project your past onto your present, and you're
Mm-hmm.
literally going to become a slave to your future. So he speaks like that. It makes you think. He's amazing. So those are my top 3, I would say.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out because I love reading as well. And then you said you wrote 2 books. Do you want to tell us about your books?
So my first book is all
Mm-hmm.
about my life, coming from the home I did and all the things that I did. I did so many crazy things in my life that I thought I'd never, ever do. So I wrote a story to help people. It's about my life, but it's also teaching people about making different choices, creating hope, building resilience. That book's done well. I mean, we sold about over 5,000 of those books over the last 7 years. So I'm not anybody that's famous, but it's obviously worked. People want it all the time. And then the second book I wrote was called 2 Billion Seconds. If you live until 70 years old, you will experience 2 billion seconds in your whole life. It's all about how are you using your time. So that's like a small motivational book.
And then back to your mindset. I just want to know, when you are dealing with struggles or any challenges, because we're human beings, challenges are going to arise. What are the things you tell yourself to actually fight through another day and to continue going and continue seeking the next level and just fighting down the boundaries you've set up?
I think for me, it's 2 things. Because my mind is always looking at what can I learn. In that moment, even though it's tough, I'm still inspired. I'm on the alert. I'm looking, hey, what gift can I take out of this? So it's not as stressful as it should be. Also, what I say to myself is that this is just a season. This is just something I have to go through. And everyone goes through things. So that basic truth literally motivates you. Like, okay, cool. It's going to end. It's not going to last. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep learning. And that's it, bro.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time and for inspiring us, basically, for the work that you're doing. I just want to applaud you for the work that you're doing. Such an incredible mission that you have, helping these young kids and the younger generation basically develop their minds and understand the importance of developing the inner world, because that's something that's not focused on in society.
Yeah, 100%.
So well done on that, and keep doing what you do.
Thanks so much for having me, bro, and well done to you on starting this platform so that you can also change people's lives through this. So keep going.
Thanks,
bro.
man. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. This is a weekly podcast, so tune in every Monday to get your dose of inspiration that will help guide you in designing your version of an extraordinary life. This is Kyle Daniels, wishing you an amazing day. Stay winning.